Welcome to Startup Hack. All right, listen up, developers. Here's a controversial thought for you. Your code belongs in production. Yep, that's right. Code sitting in your local environment or even in staging servers, it isn't doing anybody any good. If it isn't in production, it's not delivering value and it's not getting you feedback from users. I'm not talking about shipping crappy quality code. I'm talking about moving fast, shipping iteratively, and learning along the way. That's how we innovate. Now, I know this may seem like a controversial subject because some people like to make it a year-long process to get code to production. Let's talk about that today. Let's dive in. All right, welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we'd love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and to build custom software solution. So I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. All right, so the reality is here, code that isn't in production doesn't matter. You can write the most beautiful, most well-architected code in the world, but if it's not live, it's not doing anything and it's not helping anybody. Every line of code that's sitting idle in the development or waiting for approval is just a missed opportunity for feedback and for improvement. Think about it. Your users can't give you feedback on something that they haven't used yet. So developers, your first priority should be getting your code into production where it can actually do something valuable. It's about delivering value, not perfection. Now, this doesn't mean that you should ship sloppy code. Say that 10 times fast. Far from it. I'm not suggesting that. It means lowering the number of features, making your scope smaller so that what you think needs to be in a release isn't so big. The longer you wait to push something live, the more risk you accumulate. Bugs, outdated assumptions, or even market changes can hit you hard. By shipping small, you can course correct faster, and every release becomes an opportunity to learn and to iterate. This is lean methodology. This is the lean methodology that the lean methodology champions this. Ship fast, learn faster. Lean isn't just a buzzword. It's a core philosophy that's been transforming industries for years. It's about eliminating waste and delivering value early and often. In software development, that means getting your code into users' hands as soon as possible so you can learn from real-world usage. Sure, you might have fewer features in your MVP, but the trade-off is rapid feedback that guides your next iteration. Lean is all about minimizing risk by getting feedback fast so you can't get feedback on your code if it's not in production. Now, part of where this came from is I used to have a manager when I worked back at GoDaddy who used to tell us all the time, code belongs in production. Code is happiest in production. He had about 5 different ways that he would say this. We want happy code. Happy code's in production, right? So like he would go through this all the time. And it really got me to where and what he was really saying there is shorten the requirements list, get something together, better, not perfect. This has really become one of my mantras as I build software development, especially for small clients who are just starting software development projects. Small feature set, get it into users' hands, get it live, and then iterate. This is really the core functionality, right? This is really a great principle as you're building successful software. Now, here's something developers don't like to hear. Your code will never be perfect, and that's okay. Trying to make everything flawless before it ships will leave you stuck in development. Your users don't need perfection. They need something functional, something they can interact with and give feedback on. By aiming for good enough and iterating, you keep moving forward, and that's where the magic happens. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, let us help you out. Here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer because we'd love to help. And we're helping companies right now do exactly this. So remember when Mark Zuckerberg coined the phrase, move fast and break things. Now, I'm not saying you should purposely break your product, but the philosophy holds water. And one of the interesting things is you'll notice that eventually Facebook dropped this, right? They dropped the move fast and break things mantra. But for a season and for a phase of the development, that was the most important. That was when they were trying to grab market share, when they were trying to prove ideas, when they were trying to move fast. So how do you do that? You know that you're going to break some things. And that's like you just learn, right? And that's what you go with. And obviously it worked pretty good for Facebook, right? If you spend too much time getting everything just right, you're going to miss out on opportunities to learn from real world uses. In fact, one of Facebook's earliest iterations of their photos feature was shipped with bare minimum functionality. And guess what? Users loved it. They iterated from there and based on users' feedback, not hypothetical boardroom discussions. That's one of the other things that I try to say to my developers all the time. Let's solve the real problem, not the hypothetical ones. A lot of times they'll say, okay, great, you're trying to solve a next month problem. Let's solve the today problem. Ship this. We can put a story in and let's fix that problem, right? And so those are some of the things that I really like to try to push. Now, shipping code to production is a form of learning. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time. No one does. But when you ship to production, you get immediate feedback from real users with real use cases. That's gold. It's more valuable than hypothetical scenarios you've thought up during endless planning meetings. So in .NET or C#, it doesn't matter what your stack is. Get out there, get started, get learning. Now, one of the biggest reasons code doesn't get pushed to production is fear. Fear of bugs, fear of breaking something, fear of user backlash. But here's the thing. No code's ever going to be bug-free, and delaying the inevitable only makes it worse. You're much better off shipping early and then shipping often. Those two go together, right? This way you can catch bugs when they're small and easy to fix, instead of dealing with a monolithic release where a single bug can cause a ton of chaos and cost you months. So let's be clear about something. Production ready does not mean perfect. It means that your code is stable enough to be used by real people and secure. We want to make sure it's secure, right? We don't want to ship things that are insecure, but you're ready to respond quickly to any issues that arise. This is part of the reason I've always been a big fan of trying to fix things even if you find them in production, and instead of rolling back, always trying to roll forward if at all possible. If you keep waiting for everything to be perfect, your code will never see the light of day. The beauty of modern software development, and with new CI/CD, which stands for continuous integration, continuous deployment, means that you can ship small, learn from the feedback, fix it quickly, and then ship again. This is part of the reason I don't love Scrum, is because Scrum builds in these artificial 2 to 4 week periods where you couldn't get a feature out quick enough. I like to move quick, get it to production. If they find something, get it back in the pipeline, get it fixed, get it back to prod. Don't let the pursuit of perfection paralyze you. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Now, shipping small features to production not only helps you gather feedback, but also builds momentum for your team. Each successful release is a win, a small victory that keeps your developers motivated. There's nothing worse than working on a massive feature that takes months to see the light of day. By breaking down tasks into smaller chunks, you can release regularly and keep that energy high. And believe me, teams that release often have a much better vibe than those that get stuck in long development cycles. Now, just even this morning, I was reading an article. I'd actually written this last night, written all my notes and gotten ready for this live for this morning last night. And then in my reading this morning, because I spend a ton of time reading different articles and stuff this morning, a great article came through that was actually talking exactly around this. Now, he talked about how to be strategic, right? The actual nature of strategic work and how to become great at it, right? So I'll put this link in this article in the link down below, and I'm going to probably do another live on this specifically. But I really liked this graph because I think this is what we tend to do as developers and as product development specifically. I don't know if developers necessarily do this as much as full product teams and companies around product. We get to this plan, build cycle. I would way rather do the one on the right. Build, assess, build, assess, build, assess. Now, we can obviously do this locally. We can do this in demo environments. But man, I would way rather build a feature for an internal set of users, let them kick the tires on it in a real world production system internally, and let them do that and then release it. So figure out how to do that. Figure out how to release features that are only going to be to a limited set of a team. This is a great way to make some of that happen. Now, here's another area where code gets stuck, is in code reviews. Don't get me wrong. Code reviews are super important, but they shouldn't turn into a bottleneck that slows down the entire release process. I'm a big believer in process, but process should not stand in the way of production. And I get it. We've got to make sure we maintain code quality. Like I've said, this is a balance, right? So we want to make sure that we balance this. Good quality code is super critically important. So focus on making the review process fast and efficient. Review the important parts of the code, provide actionable feedback, and then ship it. A good code review process supports quick iterations and continuous learning. It's not supposed to be a black hole where code goes to die. So one of the big things that I tell the reviewers, especially some of my more senior developers who might be reviewing a lot of junior developers or a dev lead, is, look, there's a difference between, no, this is absolutely like a showstopper, you need to go fix this, and hey, we could probably improve this, or maybe we want to refactor this a little different, so let's put that into a story, but this is good enough for today. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That discussion right there. That's what we're talking about today, right? The ability to say, this is good enough for today. Let's go back. And I get it. This is how tech debt happens. I understand that. And this is where that balance and that battle goes. And this is where art in software development is different than science, right? So developers need to get comfortable with the idea of iteration. Your first version isn't going to be your last, and that's okay. In fact, it's preferable. When you release early and often, you make room for iteration, improvement, and learning. Each release is a chance to refine your product based on real-world feedback. So stop thinking of your code as static, one-time masterpiece. It's a living, breathing entity that grows and improves each release. One of the things I like to point out to people all the time is when you look back at the history of Gmail. Now, there are very few people out there that I've met who have not used Gmail at least once, right? There's different variants of it because you get your corporate ones and then you have the personal ones. But really at the end of the day, it's all Gmail, right? It's all Google Mail. Now, the interesting thing about Google Mail is it kept a beta sticker on it for, I think, if I remember right, 5 or 6 years. I have to go back exactly and look it up. But it was multiple years and millions of users while it still had a beta sticker on it. Did that stop people from using it? Absolutely not. As there is arguably, there's probably not been a larger product release out there in software development than Gmail. Like, it's huge, right? Like the staggering thought of everything that goes through in Gmail every day is absolutely staggering. Yet it was launched as an MVP. Originally, you had to get an invite, right? Like, it was invite only. So like, think back to that and think how to be Gmail. How do you release an MVP that has some very minimum features and then you iterate quickly? I don't know how many releases Gmail has. My guess is it's quite a lot, right? So the heart of this approach is the lean methodology, continuous improvement. You ship, you learn, you improve. Rinse and repeat. It's not about cutting corners. It's about getting feedback sooner and making informed decisions. By pushing code to production quickly, you're keeping the feedback loop tight. This means you're always iterating, always improving, and always delivering more value to your users. And really, that's what it's all about anyways, right? Is delivering value. So what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love having a great discussion. The most complimentary thing I can get is when people leave comments down below. So if you're listening, leave me a comment. Even if you're listening when I'm not live, leave me a comment. I reply to all of them personally. I love getting comments. Honestly, it's the best thing. It's because here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and to build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out because we'd love to help. Hit the link down below and check out startuphack.com today. And we'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.